Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. Thank you for watching. So, this is what you should be looking for when buying your very first guitar, or if you're going to be buying your first guitar for your child, or nephew, or friend, or whatever. These are things you should look at specifically for the very first guitar they are going to play. Brands do somewhat matter to a certain extent, and first and foremost, I would highly recommend buying used because then you can typically get one of these guitars for cheaper, or you can even get them a slightly better guitar. And typically, if you buy it from a mom and pop shop or even a guitar center, you can usually get them to throw in what is called a setup, which makes the guitar better playing for the person that is going to be receiving it. So now my first guitar was the First Act, and I don't even think they make it anymore. But my second guitar, which I liked a lot better and put a lot of hours in, was an Epiphone Les Paul 100. And they come in a couple different colors. You know, you can do black, you can do cherry sunburst, you can do tobacco burst. I had a cherry sunburst one. And very simplistic guitar. You have a three-way toggle switch right here, which allows you to get three different sounds out of this guitar. You have four knobs. It is a hardtail. That's something I'm going to be saying over and over and over again in this video. Do not get someone that is picking up a guitar for the first time a guitar with a tremolo. And basically what that means is, you know, the little wiggle stick you used to see on the Guitar Hero and Rock Band controllers? Do not get them a guitar with one of those because it's going to be harder to tune it, harder to string the instrument, and they're not going to be having a good time. And if they hate having to keep messing with the tuning and keep stringing it, and it just causes more and more problems. And you see this on a lot of beginner guitars. They put in a very cheap, junky tremolo unit that does not stay in tune properly, and unless it is set up properly, your child or whoever is picking up the guitar for the first time is going to hate it. So completely stay away from tremolo options, and I'm going to give you several different options you can choose from. So this first one here is an Epiphone Les Paul 100, $300. Yes, you have to buy an amp with it. It doesn't come with an amp, doesn't come with a cable, doesn't come with straps, doesn't come with a case, so you're probably looking at, around $500. But you don't have to go this expensive. There are options where you can go, sky's the limit price-wise. If you want to get something expensive, by all means, if you have the money, you can go for it. It doesn't hurt to get them an extremely nice guitar for the first one, because it's going to make them appreciate it and want to play it more, I would think. Another option is Squier. So Squier has a wide variety of guitars, and I typically recommend the Telecaster over the Stratocaster. The reason I recommend the Telecaster over the Stratocaster is because they are typically hardtail guitars, meaning they don't have a tremolo. And you can buy one, couple $100, and then you get an amp or whatever for it. It also depends on the type of music you're playing. If you're playing, a lot of rock music, the first guitar I showed you, I would recommend. However, if you're going to be playing a lot of cleans, a lot of country style musics, then you may want to go for the Telecaster because that guitar is more associated with that type of genre. Different guitars are associated for different types of genre. It's more so the pickups. If you don't know what a pickup is, this part of the guitar is a pickup. You have single coils, then like on this one, you have humbuckers because it's two coils together. Now this is an Epiphone Les Paul Special 2. It's a little bit cheaper than the Les Paul 100. The reason being is because as opposed to four knobs, it has two knobs. The finish is a little bit different. It's not as nice of a guitar, but that's an option too. But yet again, hard rock, metal, this I would more say, kind of like classic rock, maybe some southern rock, good association with it. Where you go back to the Telecaster, that is going to be a couple $100. Now you can buy packages. You can buy packages such as something like this. So this is a guitar that I'm warning you about. So this is a typical Squier that has the tremolo arm, which is this style bridge right here, if you're looking at it. And they always are in a starter pack for a couple $100. Yes, while it is less expensive, whoever is purchasing this is going to be more annoyed. And the reason they're going to be more annoyed is because every time you tune it, this piece moves. So if the springs aren't set up correctly in the back, yes, there are springs counterbalancing this system in the back. Every time you tune it, it is going to go slightly out of tune, or you either have to tune it in a specific way, or you have to keep going back and forth on the tuners, and it can just get super annoying. And then if you use this tremolo arm, typically on these cheaper models, it will not go back in tune after you use it, which is why I highly recommend avoiding any of these guitars initially. If you want to get into one, maybe your second or third guitar, that's perfectly fine. But for the first guitar, do not buy one of these. Just stay away from it. So this is that same guitar I showed you, a Squier Stratocaster. However, this one has a hardtail bridge. So this one, you don't have to worry about the arm wiggling, it going out of tune. You just string it right through the bridge and you're good to go. So if you're going to buy a Stratocaster, which is a lot of people's first guitars, perfectly fine. Just make sure it's a hardtail Stratocaster and not one with the tremolo. Another guitar you want to avoid is what are called Floyd Roses. So, you got a second or third guitar, the kid's getting more into it, he wants that particular tremolo, or you want that particular tremolo, sure, by all means. Once you know how to use one, it's really not too bad, but Floyd Rose guitars are extremely hard to initially get used to. Once you get it, yeah, you're fine, but it takes you maybe, a day or two to figure out how everything works, the counterbalancing, how to string it properly. And on the cheaper models, same issue, they don't like to stay in tune as well as the more expensive models that are made of higher quality metals, such as brass and steel versus pot metal and zinc. That's what you see on a lot of the cheaper metals. And when you get an expensive one and it stays in tune, yeah, you're fine, you're good, but I would not want to have someone mess with this as their first guitar. I would just completely avoid it. Don't worry about it. Pick a hardtail, and that's the thing, as I said, I'm saying it over and over again in this video. Whatever guitar you end up choosing, just make sure it's a hardtail guitar. That's the terminology you want to use. Make sure there is no tremolo on that guitar for the first guitar. Second or third, sure, you're getting more into it, have at it. But for the first one, highly recommend avoiding any type of tremolo system. Now, you can also do a brand that's called Schecter. So Schecter, a little bit more expensive, a little bit nicer guitar. You have 24 frets versus your typical 22. String through the body. Typically, that means better sustain. For those of you that do not know what that means how long the note rings out when you play a note on the guitar. And this one comes in a whole bunch of pretty colors. So you got blue, a teal, a black, a blue, a purple, which I really like that purple, and kind of a white color. So this is an option as well. You can go this route. It's got more comfort cuts along the sides. It's easier to get up. This would be a very nice first guitar. This is also typically more metal associated. So you think a Les Paul, or an SG, you kind of think classic rock, maybe southern rock. You look at a Telecaster, like I showed you previously. You're probably thinking more country, more clean tones, things along those lines. But then you go over here, and this is going to be more your metal, your heavy gain. And gain is basically the amount of distortion to a certain extent that is going through an amp. And, whole different topic, getting your first guitar amp, which you'll probably have to buy an amp with this too. A lot of these you are additionally going to have to buy a gig bag, an amp, a guitar strap, some cables, and a tuner, so just factor in a couple $100 on top of it. If you buy an all-in-one package, which is perfectly fine if you want to do that, just make sure it has a hardtail guitar, as I mentioned previously, no tremolos. Another option, Ibanez is another brand that I would associate with more heavy metal guitars, and this is the same thing. They have it's called the Geo line, very simplistic guitars, hardtail guitars. Some of them have 5-way switches, which are pretty nice, so you can get even more tones out of them. Yeah, these are basses, which we can talk about basses too if you want to see, what should you buy for your very first bass video. But ultimately what it comes down to is you want a guitar that the person that's playing it isn't going to hate. So buy something in a color they like, buy something in a model they like, brand, it doesn't necessarily matter. Buy used, that way you get a better deal, and go to your local mom and pop or your guitar center, and when you buy that instrument used, make sure they include a setup. You may have to spend some extra money on a guitar amp, a cable, a strap, things along those lines. But at the end of the day, you want the person playing the guitar to be comfortable with it when they're first learning it and have as little hurdles to conquer on it as possible. So, kind of the less moving parts, the better. That is what I'm recommending. So there you have it. If you have any questions about, what guitar should I buy, or should I buy this specific guitar for whoever, you're more than welcome to leave them in the comments down below. Please hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like, and let me know what you want to see for future guitar and music related content. Thank you for watching. This is Gray's Guitars, and as always, have a good one.